stay here if you're afraid of heights. This unique resort is made up of a cluster of tree houses that are most famous for their great location for weddings. Located just outside of Seattle, Washington, there are 9 tree houses to choose from, and the company's website says their woodsy area is a perfect place to get away from the technology and hectic world that you live in throughout your life. The cost of a tour of the tree houses is $20 per person by advance appointment only. No walk-ins, to preserve the peace of the tourists that are currently staying in the trees. Their offered activities include yoga, massages, tai chi, and even hypnotherapy. Treehouse Point is the perfect getaway for the nature lover that has a healthy sense of adventure. Although these picturesque gardens are a local staple in the Dordogne region of France, they are mostly ignored by tourists because tourists commit the sin of thinking that all there is in France is Paris. The gardens are meticulously maintained, and they have been for over 300 years. The focal point of the gardens is a 17th century chateau that was owned by the founder of the gardens. The garden was officially opened to the public in 1996, and they now offer educational events, tours, walking trails, and yearly egg hunts for Easter. This is also a great stop for anyone who is enjoying a wine tour because it is situated between the Bordeaux and Rhone wine regions, so it would be a nice little pit stop between the two. While you're there in the gardens, make sure to stop by the restaurant on the grounds for some authentic French cuisine to complete your visit. New Zealand is pretty famous for their beautiful natural attractions, and this cave looks like something straight out of a fantasy novel. The main feature of the cave is the glowworms that glow from a form of bioluminescence. This particular species of glowworm can only be found in New Zealand, so this is an even more unique attraction. The caves are part of an extensive system that contains more than just the glowworm section. The cave is closely guarded by environmental groups, but you can schedule a guided tour that will make you feel like you're gliding directly under the stars. There's also a visitor center at the entrance that will greet you when you enter the cave. This may not seem that exciting, but for anyone interested in history or medieval times, this is a gold mine. It's on the island of Gotland in Scandinavia, and it is one of the most well-preserved and extensive remaining medieval cities in the world. It was built during the 13th and 14th century, and the original city was around 2.2 miles or 3.6 kilometers, and 2.14 miles or 3.44 kilometers still stands. The city also originally had 29 massive towers and 22 smaller towers, but today only 27 of the giant towers remain and only 9 of the small towers. This site may not have very much modern influence, but if you ever wanted to see what medieval cities look like, this is an excellent chance to see it. There are modern conveniences outside of the city, but anyone who intends to see this great ruin probably won't be too upset about the walk. Prague has some pretty incredible tourist attractions as it is. You can add this synagogue onto that list. The temple stands in Jewish Town, and it is not as ancient as it looks. It was built on what was once the oldest temple, Old School, or Atshul. The original church was torn down in 1867 when it was decided that the small size was just not functionally sufficient anymore. The new building went up just a year later. The temple is built in the Moorish Revival style, which makes it a breathtaking tribute to the ancient style of architecture. The church saw a decline during World War II, and 10 years after the war, it was given to a museum to be restored, but the building was again neglected in the 1970s before being closed in 1982. The church was revived after the Velvet Revolution, which was a revolution that took place in Czechoslovakia during 1989. The synagogue has now been open to the public since 1998, and the beauty of the building is not going to disappoint. You can probably guess where this monastery is located just by looking at it. Did you guess Russia? Congrats, you are right. This iconic-looking church was first built in 1337, and it has since become an essential Russian cultural landmark and the center of the Russian Orthodox Church. 300 monks still live in this new monastery, and it is even a Russian UN World Heritage Site. The church got its name from the man that founded it, Sergius of Radens, who was a famous Russian saint that reformed medieval Russia. The inside is just as beautiful as the outside, if not even more so. It's been through a lot through the years, but the church is well cared for and loved, and it is still in excellent condition. While it may look weird that this resort has igloo-looking structures with a massive skylight, the reason why is sure to make you want to go there. These little suites are built to let you view the northern lights in style and comfort. The resort in Finland offers a breathtaking and cozy observational room with just the bare minimum. called a glass igloo. But they also have a variety of suites that you can choose between. There are 10 different accommodations that you can choose from. Igloos made from the traditional snow, Santa's home that is decorated to look like the Christmas icon lives there, a traditional house with all the fixings, and even a wedding suite. The glass igloos are only available from the 20th of August to the end of April because that's when the Northern Lights come out to play. This little municipality in Portugal only has 828 inhabitants. The city is known as the most Portuguese village in Portugal, and it is one of 12 cities that have been classified to have a historical significance to the country. The town has evidence of dating back to the early Stone Ages, at the time of the Ice Ages. You can find traces of the Romans, Visigothic, and Arab presences. But in the 12th century, when the city was conquered by Alfonso I of Portugal, it hasn't traded cultures since. The city is actually built on top of a mountain rock that is made of granite, giving it the unique appearance. There once stood a castle in the town, but it was destroyed in the 19th century when some ammunition exploded. This lake is the largest lake in Iceland that is mostly a favorite for die-hard scuba and diving fans. The lake is approximately 84 square meters or 32 square miles, and it reaches depths of 114 meters or 374 feet. The main draw of the lake is that it partially lies on top of the meeting of the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates, so there is a small divide that you can dive into safely. The rift is called Silfra, and it is the division formed from the drifting of the plates. The water is incredibly clear as well because the water in the fracture is fed from a nearby glacier. The rift gets about 2 centimeters wider every year, and there are earthquakes every 10 years, which can expedite its widening. This isn't the only split in the world, but it is the widest and definitely the coolest.
And now for number 1. But first, be sure to subscribe for new videos every day.
This surreal landmark was actually built by Edward James, who was a British poet who was one of the main influences during the Surrealist art movement in the 20th century. These giant artistic sculptures are 2,000 feet or 610 meters above sea level in the rainforest in Mexico. The site stretches over 80 acres of land, and in addition to the many sculptures, there are also pools and waterfalls interlaced in the site. That's how it got its name. Las Pozas means the pools in Spanish. There are also paintings and entire beds of orchids. There were supposedly 29,000 orchids at this location at one point. James also included little homes and exotic animals. The construction took place during 1949 to 1984, and it ended up being more than $5 million to build. The location was bought in 2007 by a foundation that plans to restore and maintain the landmark for future generations. This insane work of art may be a little out there, but it is a must-see.